Three pressure groups have joined in the demand for the compilation of a new voters register. Let My Vote Count Alliance, Alliance for Accountable Governments, AFAG, and the Movement for Change are seeking clearance from the police to picket at Parliament. The New Patriotic Party and the Progressive People's Party have so far been the main advocates for the new register and should find the added pressure helpful. David Asante is with the Let My Vote Count Alliance. He joins me in the studio. Good evening, David. What's your relationship with the NPP?
I am a registered member of the NPP. I work for the flag bearer in the party.
So it's your group affiliated with
Our group isn't affiliated to the NPP, but we stand basically to defend the principles of sound democracy, just as having a clean register as a prerequisite for an undisputed election.
Okay, so are you doing the bidding of the NPP? Because they've been pushing for this new register as well.
Well, Israel, it's interesting to note that we in the Let My Vote Count Alliance even did come out way ahead of the NPP. We welcomed the EC in the first press release. We also talked about the need for the Electoral Commission to suspend the ongoing registration exercise that they did embark on. We found it illegal, and then the EC listened to wisdom and then he halted the process. We came out to talk about the credibility of the voters register, and after a few weeks, the NPP held a massive press conference and did uncover that rot of over 78,000 foreigners having their names in our electoral roll just after juxtaposing the two registers of the two countries, that is Ghana and Togo. After 10% of intensive search, 78,000 names popped up. They consolidated our position and our call for a new voters register.
No, the plan is that you're going to picket at Parliament House, the three groups. How far have you gone with that? You said we're seeking clearance from the police.
Yeah, basically, the Let My Vote Count Alliance took the initiative, and then we have been able to get consent from the two other pressure groups, the Movement for Change and then also AFAG. We've also spoken to other identifiable groups like the Taxi Drivers Association, the Market Women, and all other groups. Basically, we're pushing through a simple agenda, a new voters register. What makes it exciting is that we in Let My Vote Count Alliance have been privileged to have the other political parties fairly represented on our platforms, i.e. the PPP, the PNC, and then the NDP. So purely we're representing the voice of the masses, average.
But not the NDC.
Well, in our previous activities, we had the NDC represented. But as far as the call for a new voters register is concerned, principally, the NDC has taken a different position.
So you pick it at Parliament House, and what next?
On the 16th of September, we have written officially to the regional commander. Our intention originally is to hand over a petition to the leadership of Parliament, and then also we hand over a copy of the petition to the commission, the Electoral Commission. But originally, we intend picketing the Electoral Commission premises for 2 days. That is our original intent. I was at the office of the regional police commander this afternoon. He has arranged for a meeting with the leadership of the Let My Vote Count Alliance, which is going to be 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're going to have a very good working relationship with them, and we'll continue from there.
So you're planning to actually picket at the offices of the Electoral Commission?
Office of the Electoral Commission.
That was originally what you planned?
That is the original.
Will you be granted that?
Well, it's very simple. We are expecting about 2,000 people to turn up on that day. It's going to be a peaceful march on the street of Accra. We go to the Parliament House, we present a petition, we come back to the EC's premise, hand over a copy of the petition, sit over there from, say, 11 in the morning to the next day in a very calm, peaceful, natural Ghanaian attitude of pushing through a legitimate demand of a sort. And Israel, you see, the point again is that about 90% of the political groupings in this country believe absolutely there is a problem with the electoral rule. It is a dangerous issue.
Right, so is it just because the NPP has come out with this evidence that suggests that?
My understanding is that after the electoral petition, when the Electoral Commission set up a bipartisan committee referred to as the EC Reform Committee, the proposals taken from the political parties as to the reform which they thought in their best understanding was best for the forward march of our democracy, all included issues that had to do with the credibility of the register, either overtly or covertly. All the political parties unanimously spoke about the credibility of the existing register. Perhaps your idea about how we should go about it may differ from mine, but ultimately, they all spoke the same language. The credibility of the voters' register must be looked at. For the NPP, they believe it must be scrapped. The PPP believes so, the NDP believes so, and then also all the pressure groups are saying, let's scrap it and get an entirely new register. That's the way to go.
All right, thank you very much. Wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Me too.
And still with the NPP, it appears the cracks in the opposition NPP will linger for a while longer. First Vice Chairman of the party, Freddie Blay, is accusing the National Chairman, Paul Afoko, and General Secretary Kwabena Agyapong of mismanaging funds. This comes after a statement from the office of the National Chairman warning of punitive action against the rank and file of the party who have been embezzling funds. But the first Vice Chairman of the NPP, Freddie Blay, is accusing Mr. Afoko and Mr. Agyapong of rather hijacking the management of the party's funds and spending money without rendering account to the steering committee.
The first Vice Chairman is supposed to be a secretary, and I did append my signature, and I know there were certain funds lodged in it, funds that two signatories can sign. And I, with this treasurer, did sign once for money to be withdrawn to run the Talensi election.
Well, there are corruption allegations already. We know the police CID, they've confirmed they're looking into this matter.
Police officers came here to invite me, and I told them exactly what I've told you, that it's an internal, if it's concerning account the party is running, or whatever account the party may be involved, it's strictly internal. And if that's what you're inviting me on, I'm not answerable to the police over it, procedures and so forth, unless they are convinced something criminal has been done. If something is done that is criminal, why not? The police can go ahead and arrest me.
As it stands now, you are under investigation on this matter.
If you want to put it that way, I don't believe I'm under investigation. If somebody says I'm under investigation, you should ask those who are investigating. I have not, and I want to repeat, I have not done anything that is criminal for the police to come and investigate me. Not at all. I can assure you that.
This matter that has been reported to the police, you are informed that it's a certain Baichamfo who reported the matter to the police, but you suspect, and those were your words, you suspect that it's Kwabena Agyapong and Paul Afoko who are behind the complaint. Yes,
I did tell you so. The last time we had a meeting, I did express my disgust, my unhappiness with the development surrounding this issue.
All right, we're taking a break on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with business news. Please don't go away. It's now time for business, and Etonam Say is here. Good evening to you, Etonam.
Good evening, Israel.
So you're here with the good news for the Destination Inspection Company workers, plus the Finance Minister's frustrations.
The Finance Minister is really frustrated about the price of the crude oil on the world market. You know, it's been predicted that it will fall to $38 per barrel by the end of the year, and he's not happy about that.
All right, you take it away.
All right. Now, the over 500 workers at the ports left hanging without jobs after government ended its contract with Destination Inspection Companies, DICs, will soon be absorbed into the government sector. Finance Minister Seth Tekpe, who spoke a while ago on Joy FM's Business Trends, assured government is making provisions for such workers through Customs Excise and Preventive Service SEPS. He spoke to my colleague George Riafe.
SEPS has a competitive, system of entry. I've heard many of them, their expertise and what is acknowledged. There's also going to be an opening in the private sector, depending on others. So, to the extent that there are openings, whether of customs, of preventive, or within ports and harbors, and that's the idea of the single window. There are various elements.
But is there a deliberate plan to take on these people?
Government has this plan for recruitment in the the public service. Let's just say that you know that we have had a plan, including a net freeze, which requires that we replace as and when. So SEPS has been doing. Luckily, they are among the institutions that have mass exits and mass entry. So to the extent that within the institutions, not just of SEPS but GRA, because now we train a whole officer because of the GRA concept. The move is to train a whole officer. So it's receiving the necessary attention. I think this issue has been discussed.
Finance Minister said Tekpe has described the declining price of crude oil on the world market as frustrating. Speaking on business trends on Joy FM, he lamented government is planning, among other things, to review revenue numbers of crude oil.
We did a media review. Remember, in March, we revised it from 99 using 53. Then the prices moved up to 65. So when we did a media review, we used 58. Within 4 to 5 weeks, the price was down below 40. As I said earlier on, now it's around 47. So you also wait for the outlook put out by the World Bank, the IMF, because they have a global picture. They have more, and then we would respond appropriately. Either we respond, when probably when Parliament reconvenes, because that is the house where you have to be taking these things. They did the appropriation, or if the prices recover somewhat, then we may want to look at 2016 because we have started the process.
Because the prediction from the World Bank is that it could drop down further to 39.
Well, so that would have to take that into account when we do the 2016 budget, because at the moment it hasn't gone that down. So that's why I said that we have to watch between now and the next 2 months when, September, October, because in November we'll be presenting the budget. So a lot depends on what happens in the next 2 months, whether we revise to the end of the year or we hold to the end of the year and then use the benefit of the IMF and World Bank and other projections, the advance to see where, but the important thing is that it has been in turmoil. And we talk about volatilities, many indices. I think I listened to you again talking about indices, making how, and I heard an interview from a bank that says, the volatilities are such that it's making it difficult for them to plan. Incidentally, I was reading the Financial Times, which is showing that even S&P, Standard & Poor's, have had to revise the indices that they use for commodities and for Forex on account of the volatilities in the commodity prices. So that is how, volatile the situation is. So we have to be vigilant. The good thing is that we have amended the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, which makes it possible for us not to use that fixed price at all costs, which the law says. If the price keeps going down, then we can go back to Parliament, as the law requires now, and say, we use this, but we think that we need your approval to revise it, so and so. That is the flexibility which the law has now, allowed us.
A Ghana Exim Bank, which should help transform the country's economy, will be established next month. Announcing this at the 55th Annual General Meeting of the Ghana Employers Association, Employment Minister Haruna Iddrisu said the bank will enable Ghana take advantage of international trade initiatives such as the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGWA, and the Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA.
I am particularly happy to note that Cabinet has taken a decision to transform the hitherto referred to as EDIF into a Ghana Exim Bank. The President will make some definite policy announcement on this, probably between now and November, on the creation of a Ghana Exim Bank to support not just the manufacturing sector, but also the export sector. I'm aware that the bill, which will soon be introduced to Parliament, will allow for some revenue sharing between the Exim Bank and the Ghana Export Promotion Authority so that they will continue to facilitate the support of Ghanaians going into the export sector.
First Vice President of the Ghana Employers Association, Dr. Yawedu Jemfi, tells Joy Business the move by government to establish an Exim Bank in Ghana is a relieving one for SMEs.
The immediate reaction basically for it being turned to Exim Bank is of good thing to us. The reason is that when it's an Exim Bank, there will be promotion of Ghanaians goods to be exported, particularly in the ECOWAS market. So what we are looking at is this. We have had collaboration with the government and see what areas, what are the sectors that need to be promoted in terms of export. Because if you do not improve manufacturing and improve export, so that you can bring in foreign exchange, everything you do will fall down the tracks. So it's a good picture, but all we need to do is how do we implement it? It's something easily said and done, but when you get it done, and we are saying that by October or November, there is Exim Bank be established in Ghana. How do we help use this Exim Bank to help industries in Ghana to promote export?
Meanwhile, the Ghana Employers Association is worried most university graduates do not have the requisite competencies for the job market. As a result, many employers are said to be sinking so much into their training after employing them. The employers, however, say they would want government to begin to take up part of the cost of this pre-employment training.
The 55th Annual General Meeting of the Employers Association is on the theme, Job Creation, a critical tool for economic growth and development. The meeting looked at ways to empower the youth to be self-employed. According to the Chief Executive of the Kama Group of Companies, Dr. Michael Ajikumado, entrepreneurs occupy a central position in the market economy, with over 80 of jobs in Ghana created by these entrepreneurs. He is therefore calling on the youth to stop the over-reliance on government jobs.
All the raw materials that we have here, the cocoa, the same thing. Go to Craig in Tafo, and they have 23 different products that can come out of cocoa, including gin, brandy. We can even get liquid soap from cocoa. Nobody's taking advantage of it. Employers Association is about time.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Employers Association is worried about university graduates. First Vice President of the Ghana Employers Association, Dr. Edu Jemfi, tells Joy Business the situation is costing a lot of employers so much to train these graduates after employing them.
The people who are coming from out of school now don't have the competencies that as expectations of industry. How do we then partner these universities to train the kind of skilled people with the competence that we need, so that we can change in terms of the graduates that are coming from school to be able to meet the market that's available? Because if you come out of school, yes, you might have a certificate, but certificates do not create employment. It's your competence that create employment for you. So what we are looking for is the means and way the association members can take students in through their internship, by our relationship with National Service Secretariat, to take these students, train them in attachment situations, so that when they come on board, they will be suitable for the jobs that are available.
Chief Executive of Instinct Wave and organizer of the maiden edition of Ghana Construction Awards, Akin Naptal, has stressed on the need for Ghana's construction sector to receive more funding and technical training. Speaking at the launch of the maiden edition of Ghana Construction Awards, Akin Naptal indicated that it is crucial to boost the development of the construction sector, as it contributes about 15% of Ghana's GDP. He bemoaned the lack of adequate expertise and funding is to blame for Ghanaian preference for foreign construction companies.
Most of the key local contractors, they are sending staff outside the country for further training. You cannot excel in any industry without education and knowledge skill. So the sector is improving on that. If you look through, when we're looking through the projects completed so far, we'll see some fantastic work done by Ghanaian company. You cannot do that if you're not technically good to do that. I'm sure people will complain as well if they realize, oh, this bad project is being done by Ghanaians. And they've seen that as well. So they've invested time on training, building quality staff. Second thing is accessing fund. We've discussed with few contractors. Their major problem has been funding as well. Because if you are going to pitch for a big project from government and you don't have the fund to execute it and you have the technical expert, it won't go around. So those two key areas, and government is doing well in terms of policy formulations and regulatory area as well. So the sector needs more funding, and they need to improve on their technical skills.
And that's how we wrap up with business. My name is Eton. I'm saying many thanks for your time. Israelite has small, please stay.
Now, you're welcome back to Joy News Prime. Any media house found advertising a product without a certified FDA accreditation document will be surcharged a fine of 25,000 Ghana cedis. That's a new directive by the Food and Drugs Authority as it embarks on a drive to rid the nation of substandard or unaccredited products. The authority believes halting the advertisement of these substandard and uncertified products will help in their quest. Matilda Fumaga has more.
The FDA's head of drug enforcement, Thomas Amejo, says advertising has become the biggest challenge in enforcing the standards and regulation of the FDA. He noted that registering a product does not make it legitimate to be advertised, stressing that a product needs to be scrutinized to ensure its efficacy before an approval is given for advertisement.
The media houses are to ensure that the products, that the advertisements that are brought, the products in the first place are registered products. We give approval letters for registration. They must check that to be sure that the person who is bringing that product for advertisement, for instance, has approval, the product is registered. Secondly, that the advertisement has been approved by the FDA. That one also, we issue a letter to that effect, which is signed by the chief executive of the FDA, and then attached is the script of the advert, the approved advertisement, and which is also signed and sealed by the FDA, which is attached to that letter. So the media organization should ensure that this evidence is there, that the advertisement has been actually approved by the FDA. If they are in doubt about that, they can still check with the FDA before they allow the advert to be passed through their media. Those who will be recalcitrant, there will be sanctions. In the law, and it's prescribed in the law, it's not arbitrary. The law allows us to prosecute you and also to slap administrative charges. You can be arrested, you can be prosecuted, possibly you can be jailed, you can be fined, and then we have administrative fine option also, and that is the minimum of 25,000 Ghana cedi for any infringement.
Mr. Amejo urged media houses to collaborate with the FDA to ensure only certified products are advertised on their platforms.
You're not paying enough for private health insurance coverage. That's the message from the Private Health Insurance Providers Association, which has just announced a 100% increase in premiums. The hike, they say, has been necessitated by an unfavorable economic environment. Roland Opong Adom is the president of the association.
We are very particular who we put on our network to provide service to our clients. We take the pains to investigate the backgrounds of service providers, assess the facilities they have, and so that if we put a provider on our network that go and assess service from the service provider, you can be sure that you are going for the best in the country. So all around the country, in all the 10 regions of Ghana where our operations are there, we ensure that we select the best of healthcare providers we have in Ghana.
In case your clients come to tell you, we understand you have to increase and all that, but as of now, we are not ready to pay this amount of money. Are you up for negotiations?
It would largely depend, for example, for the existing clients that we have. It should largely depend on the client's utilization. I guess it would be unfair to clients who have very good utilizations. And utilization, I mean, if we compare, take a ratio of the claims and the premiums. I mean, if in health insurance, if your claims is about 80%, 75 to 80% of your premiums, you are deemed to be a fairly good client. If you have a utilization ratio that is lesser than this, then it means that you are obviously a good client. So obviously, I believe that myself and the other managers in the other schemes are going to be taking this into cognizance in determining or negotiating or discussing the premiums. Like we said, the 1,000 is the base.
Thank you for staying. Regional and district offices of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority have been directed to transfer all of their revenue into the Consolidated Fund. This is contrary to an Act of Parliament which mandates the authority to retain 15% of all its internally generated funds. Joy News investigations reveal the Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Rodolphe Beckley, took the decision on the instruction of Finance Minister Seth Terkper. Kwete Nate reports there is growing anger among workers who are kicking against the directive.
According to the directive by the DVLA boss, regional and district offices are to lodge all monies collected into special bank accounts created at the Bank of Ghana. According to the directive, the amount lodged would be split by the BOG and the authority, whilst 15% will be retained in a special account. This means the DVLA can only access this money after proper justification to the Finance Ministry. Some workers say the move is not only illegal but will grind the operations of the licensed authority to a halt.
You bear me witness that money going to government chairs, it's difficult to take that money back. We are supposed to, because that is the law. If the law is amended, then government can have whatever they want to do with their money. But so long as the regulation states that we have to retain and not government to retain, that is why we are totally against it. We want government to maintain the current structure where 85% to them and we keep the 50%.
Joy News checks reveal that the Sunyai, Kumasi, and Koko and whole licensing offices have begun paying all revenues collected into the Bank of Ghana accounts. Reporting for Joy News, Kwitenati, Accra.
It appears the cracks in the opposition MPP will linger for a while longer. First Vice Chairman of the party, Freddie Blay, is accusing the National Chairman Paul Afoko and General Secretary Kwabena Ejapong of mismanaging funds. This comes after a statement from the office of the National Chairman warning of punitive action against the rank and file of the party who have been embezzling funds. But the first Vice Chairman of the MPP, Freddie Blay, is accusing Mr. Afoko and Mr. Ejapong of rather hijacking the management of the party's funds and spending money without rendering account to the steering committee.
Police officers came here to invite me, and I told them exactly what I've told you, that it's an internal, if it's concerning account the party is running, or whatever account the party may be involved, it's strictly internal. And if that's what you're inviting me on, I'm not answerable to the police over it, procedures and so forth, unless they are convinced something criminal has been done. If something is done that is criminal, why not? The police can go ahead and arrest me.
As it stands now, you are under investigation on this matter.
If you want to put it that way, I don't believe I'm under investigation. If somebody says I'm under investigation, you should ask those who are investigating. I have not, and I want to repeat, I have not done anything that is criminal for the police to come and investigate me. Not if I want to put it to the say very bad things about individuals without any justification. They are strictly speaking libelous, but I will ignore that. I don't want to talk about this. All constitutes some kind of diversion of what we are supposed to do. The party is supposed to be serious. The party is supposed to do a whole lot of things. Move ahead and let's organize ourselves and take on the government that is in power, that is messing up.
Right, so joining me for some analysis on this particular story in the MPP and other matters in the MPP is Evans Mensah of our political desk. Good evening to you, Evans. It appears the problems of the MPP are not going away. This latest development comes at a time when the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party says he's going to start a Rise and Build tour. And then this one comes in. We'll talk a bit more about the Rise and Build tour a lot later on. But what is happening?
This one is pretty serious. It's serious because the sheer amount of detail that we had today from Freddie Blay is shocking. We know that the party's law, that governs party's law, says that parties must account for finances they get, but no party does that. Even when they give to the EC, we don't hear that. But today, he's been talking about how much they've raised over the years, how much they have in account. For example, we now know that in the last parliamentary primary, the party managed to raise 9 million cedis just from filing fees and filing nominations that were lodged in an account. Again, we now know that between the parliamentary elections and now, they spent 4 million, more than 4 million of the money. And we know, again, that more than 600,000 cedis was taken from that account and sent to Talensi for the by-election. Again, we know that 5 million that was left from that account had been taken from that account and lodged in another account inaccessible to the national chairman and the general secretary. As we've again confirmed, it's that new account can only be accessed per signatures by the first vice chairman and Mr. Bankwa, the treasurer of the party. we are going into unprecedented territory here.
But I'm curious,
in terms of how much information the MPP is willing to give.
How was the money able to move from the first account to the second account without signatories of the, those who are supposed to?
That is very curious. But again, going by what we've just been told by the first vice chairman, it is the treasurer who initiated the process to take that money and lodge an account because of the complaint that Paul Afoko, national chairman and general secretary, were, as he says, squandering the money under their care, and they were not, accounting for it, coming to the National Steering Committee and getting clearance for this. Now, the bottom line of all this is we're going into a campaign period next year. We need funds to run the campaign for Nana Akufo-Addo, okay? Should we leave the funds that we have under the care of Paul Afoko and Kwabena Japan, and we know there are suspicions there about the intentions for next year, whether they're really for Nana or not, or should we take that money into an account where the favorite people who are close to Nana can run that fund, to push Nanado's campaign? And that is what is happening. Unfortunately, this is not new. The MPP in 1996 had the same problem with John Kufuor. And I have here a letter that was written on May 11, 1998, to the party's national chairman, Peter Alajete, complaining that the then John Kufuor had also taken some $100,000 from UK and put in his son's account and his personal account, and therefore people should be, excommunicated from the party or impeached. So it's just history repeating itself. Same script, different characters. MPP, some may suggest, might not be learning. Now, is it? You're saying that it's the same thing, just repeating, history repeating itself. Is it that then possible that it's something they're going to weather? As we speak, we know that there is a committee in place investigating this particular problem that we are talking about. The committee is yet to conclude its investigations, yet we're hearing all the fight that is going on in the public space. So that committee, we're hoping, will come up with a conclusive point about what has happened with the finances, and then that will resolve it, okay? But what has happened today shows that even when the committee comes out finally, people have taken entrenched positions on this matter already, okay? And it just goes back to a point that Nanado himself made. Remember when he addressed the press on the back of all the infighting, etc. He said, after the Adua, that is the final prayers for the Upper East Regional Chairman, he's calling for a National Council meeting, etc., to try and resolve the differences. Did that happen? Was that resolved? Obviously, from what we're hearing, little has happened in terms of uniting the ranks, getting everybody on the same page for 2016.
Let's look at the Rise and Build tour that the flag bearer of the party is embarking on. How does all this affect that tour?
My first point about that is, I saw the statement that was issued from Nanado's office, and he's going with an entourage. This tour simply is meeting party executives across the country to reassure them of his support, find out the local dynamics, etc. And he listed the names of people he's traveling with on this nationwide tour. Guess what? It doesn't include the national chairman. It doesn't include the general secretary. You're meeting regional executives of the party. And I thought it would be, I guess, appropriate to go with their bosses, the two of them, the national chairman and the general secretary, because all these other regional executives, they answer to the two of them. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's just fair and appropriate to go with them, but he's not going with them. He's listed a number of people, but he has other executives in there. John Boydu, national organizer, is in that list. The women's organizer is in that list, but the national chairman and the general secretary are not in that list. People will look at them and raise questions about it and say, again, another pointer to the fact that the party is still divided. Well, we want to see how this pans out over the next month, because it says it's going to be a month-long process. If he manages to get all these regional executives again on their side on one page, because we know they're already behind it. We saw that because they went to him when he's
one of the things I'd like you to find out later on is where they're going to get draw funding for this. Are they going to withdraw funding from the $5 million sitting somewhere, or they're going to come, pull up the funds from their own person?
But if you hear the figures, the MPP has money. I mean, for parliamentary primary elections alone, from filing fees, you manage to raise $9 million. That is a lot of money.
Well, it's a lot of money, but for running a party, that's
maybe
not so
small.
much.
But just from people willing to contest. We are not talking about donations from other sources, Okay, so obviously, if you put all that together for a campaign next year, they probably would have maybe making a lot of money.
All right.
In terms of the
Thank you very much, Evans Mensah, for bringing us all those analysis on the MPP. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana is threatening to disconnect power supply to the University of Cape Coast and University of College of Education in Winneba. According to the power distributor, the two institutions owe huge sums of money. Right, that's it. Thank you very much for joining us for another edition of the Joy News, your new look Joy News Prime. My name is Israelai. Make a date again, same time tomorrow for another tour edition of Joy News Prime. Have a good evening.
This is Joy News Prime. This is Joy News Prime.
Welcome to another edition of the most comprehensive 2 hours of news on Ghana television. Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi TV. My name is Israel Lai. Coming up, the University of Cape Coast and the University College of Education Winneba could become the latest victims of the Electricity Company of Ghana's mass disconnection of power supply to public institutions, it says, owe huge electricity bills. The National Theatre is meanwhile still without power after it was disconnected more than a month ago. Party office of National Democratic Congress at Damongo in the northern region vandalized by youth protesting withdrawal of the regional minister from parliamentary primaries there. Flag bearer of opposition New Patriotic Party to start Rise and Build tour to connect with grassroots supporters. But back at the headquarters, top executives are publicly feuding over the party's finances.
And in business tonight, Finance Minister Tekpe assures government would absorb the over 500 workers to be rendered jobless as single window scheme at the country's ports takes effect.
Etonam say has a lot more coming up in business in the next half hour. Also in the bulletin, Food and Drugs Authority to fine media houses 25,000 Ghana cedis should they advertise products it has not certified. There's a whole lot more coming up on your new look, Joy News Prime, which runs until 9 p.m. Stay tuned. Police have launched investigations into the destruction of NDC offices at Damongo in the northern region. This was after angry supporters of the ruling party went on the rampage on Tuesday to protest the decision by the regional minister to pull out of the NDC's parliamentary primaries in the constituency. They describe his decision as a betrayal.
The NDC youth marched through the streets of Damongo, chanting war songs and causing mayhem, wielding placards, some of which read, "No Alhaji Muniru, no vote for NDC," and "Practice democracy in NDC. We have suffered for too long." The rampaging youth finally settled at the party office, where they pelted stones and chased constituency executives out of the place. Spokesperson for the group, Asuma Sheriff, tells Joy News they feel betrayed by the Northern Regional Minister.
All we have always cried for was a person who could bring improvement to the people of this constituency by means of building their capacities. All we have always cried for was a unifier, one that could cement the cracks within the party. Alhaji Muniru, your expression of interest to contest the Damongo seat on the ticket of NDC did not only give us a glimmer of hope that we were going to see. Alhaji Muniru, your stepping stepping down is a great disappointment to thousands of people. Hence, we are gathered here today to remind you that we went into a social contract with you, and therefore to make a unilateral decision to step down is not only heartbreaking, but a stab at the back.
Meanwhile, aide to the Northern Regional Minister Dramani Ekumong has condemned the actions of the youth, describing it as gross indiscipline.
We were inside the office, so somebody has to even come and take my car and save it for me. So what I have to say is it's rather unfortunate it has come this way. But it started from when the very day the minister sent the notice to us that he was stepping down for peace and other issues that he thought would not be well for the party. And so the angry youth and people who were supporters started making noise that they need to demand the minister to tell them the reasons why. And so since then we started talking to them that the minister is not even around, so they should wait. The Larbanga youth, we went there, and if you saw the way they rushed on us, why we have to step down if the minister would have to take them up to this far. They have now got enemies and he's stepping down. They don't know where they are going to belong to. Then Busunu, they said they were going to bend the new market. So we have to step in there that they should come. Because the person that you are trying to maybe do whatever, give support, he's not available. And he has sent a word. So ours is to keep till he comes to give his reasons. So it's rather unfortunate it has come this way.
Northern Region Police Public Relations Officer ASP Ebenezer Tete says those behind the destruction of the NDC property will be arrested and made to face the law. All right, we have Ebenezer Tete on the line, and he's going to be telling us a lot more. So good evening to you, Mr. Tete. Now, what can you tell us about the very latest? Have you been able to make any arrests at all?
No arrests have been made.
Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
You're saying no arrests have been made?
Exactly.
All right. So what's it you're working on now? Are you working on any leads at all?
Yes. The ringleaders will be identified, and we will definitely have to arrest and then interrogate them, and then we take it from there. The numbers that we saw were very huge, and in any attempt to first arrest them can create a problem. So definitely in such situations, we have to identify the ringleaders and get them arrested, and we take them on.
All right, on the screens, we see quite some damage. Have you been able to assess the extent of damage? Have you been to the scene?
Yes, damage were caused to both the regional minister's constituency office and then the NDC constituency office. Some chairs and other properties in the office were destroyed, including some air conditioning and other valuables.
I realized from the footage available to us that there are some police officers who were at the scene. Is it that they were helpless or outnumbered?
Yes, the one you are seeing on the screen is the district commander of Damango, who was trying to talk to the irate youth not to go ahead with the instruction that they were, embarking on. And in such situations, as we have seen, it will be very, very difficult for police officers who are at Damango now to try and effect arrest. So as I'm saying, the ringleaders will be identified and subsequently they'll be arrested, because the numbers we are seeing and the numbers that we have at Damango, if all the Damango police officers, those who are facing there should come, they cannot arrest all the people that you are seeing on the screen. So we take this to identify the ringleaders and subsequently we'll get them arrested. And that's what we'll do.
All right, thank you very much. Ebenezer Tete is with the Northern Region police. In other news, the mayor of Accra is looking for a new job. Alfred Oko-Vanderpoy wants to move on from the National Capital's chief enforcer to a lawmaker. On Wednesday morning, he staged a mini fanfare which held up traffic in parts of the city as he went to pick up nomination forms to contest in the parliamentary primaries of the ruling National Democratic Congress. Latif Idris has more.
There was a lot of jubilation as the mayor drove through town to pick up his nomination papers. Hundreds of party supporters thronged the NDC party office in the Ablekuma South constituency to support him.
Because apart from the mayor, I can't see any competent candidate that can stand against the...
Yeah, I support the mayor. He's a very good material, so I support him. Since he's from the AMA and now he's coming to contest in this constituency, by God's grace, he will win. When he will win, and he started his good job, which he's doing. So we are very happy of what he's doing, and we are very happy of his coming to.
Mr. Vanderpoy told the media that he is the NDC's best candidate to win the parliamentary seat in this sprawling constituency.
Before I became mayor of Accra, when it rained and we had flooding in Mamponse, people died. During my era of office, I have demolished all of those structures in waterways, and today we have drains in Mamponse. When it rains, people's lives have been saved. We ended the shift system. The people in Ablekuma know me for development. They know they can depend on me, and they know that with me, they have a winning horse. With me, they have a leader they can count on. And with me, we can move Ablekuma South forward.
You promised a millennium city for Accra. You promised a millennium city. Have you been able to achieve that?
It's okay. We don't have time. It's okay.
As he seeks to change jobs from mayor to lawmaker, there are nagging questions about what Mr. Vanderpoy's legacy for Accra has been. His brother Emmanuel says the mayor has enough time to leave a lasting legacy before the parliamentary results are declared.
I'm not cutting you, it's a process. I'm sure Lavender Hill will be gone very soon. To give yourself 2 months or 3 months, I'm sure. It's in the pipeline. They are working seriously on it. Money to deliver, money to work on Lavender Hill. I'm sure they are working seriously on it. And if people are saying he failed because he was not able to clear the hawkers on the way, he's been working. I remember from about 2 months now, we've been in Mokola and other places. After the disaster, he's been on these hawkers, making sure, giving them a red line.
If the party approves Mr. Vanderpoy's bid, he will be seeking to replace the incumbent MP for Ablekuma South, Fritz Bafo, who is not seeking re-election.
The Electricity Company of Ghana is threatening to disconnect power supply to the University of Cape Coast and the University College of Education at Winneba. According to the power distributor, the two institutions owe huge sums of money. Let's get on to the line now and speak to our Central Region correspondent, Richard Kojo Nyako. Good evening to you, Richard.
Good evening, Israel.
Right, when does the ECG intend to cut the power to these two educational institutions, and how much do they owe?
Well, Israel, the two institutions owe to the tune of 10 billion Ghana, and for the University of Cape Coast, it owes 8 million plus Ghana cedis, and for the University of Education, which owes over 1 billion Ghana. Now, the ECG says it is held.
Your line is not too clear, Richard. If you could clear up, clarify the figures
that they owe them.
Richard, I'd like you to go over the figures again. How much do these two institutions owe?
Well, the University of Cape Coast owes the ECG 8,439 Ghana cedis, while the University of Cape Coast owes the ECG 1,496 Ghana cedis, and so the two of them totaling over 10 million Ghana cedis. Now, the ECG says it held a series of meetings with the University of Winneba and the University of Cape Coast over the debt that they owe them. The debt that they owe them passed from January 2014 up to the time we are speaking. According to the ECG, they gave them a 2-week ultimatum for them to settle their indebtedness to them. And after the expiration of the 2 weeks, they gave them a further extension of 1 week for for them to set. The 1 week has elapsed, and so any moment from now they will disconnect these two institutions. They will first do so by disconnecting the administration blocks of the various universities so that they see the seriousness with which the ECG is tackling its debt collection structure.
Are there any other agencies the ECG is targeting, or it's just the University of Cape Coast, the University of Education, Winneba?
Well, it tells me that they do also have other institutions, the MMDAs, that they have already supplied them with prepaid meters and other things, and they also hold them hugely. And so after this disconnection exercise in these two institutions, they will go tap on the other institutions that also hold them.
All right, you've been speaking to authorities at the UCC and UEW. What have they been telling you?
Well, for authorities of the University of Cape Coast, I spoke with the PRO of the university, Major Retired Kofi Babek, and he was telling me that, well, when it comes to the University of Cape Coast, there are two billing systems, one that they collate internally, and so the university takes care of that one. And for that one, they pay it monthly. But there is another one, the lecture theatres and the halls of residence, that government says it was going to take up that responsibility.
All right, thank you very much, Richard Kojo Nyako. And Richard Kojo Nyako was joining us from the central region, where the Electricity Company of Ghana is threatening to disconnect power to two institutions. We're joined on the line now by Isaac Enyusing. He is with the ECG at Cape Coast, and he's going to be telling us a bit more about this. Good evening to you, Mr. Enyusing.
Good evening, sir.
All right. So why is it that you're going ahead, or you're threatening to disconnect these when government says you should hold on?
Hello?
Yes, you're saying that you're going ahead to disconnect these two institutions, but government actually says that these educational institutions you should hold on.
Yes, what's currently happening is the University of Cape Coast, we are no longer looking at the disconnection because they've made some payments. So we are negotiating with the University of Cape Coast. But for the University of Education, Winneba, tomorrow we are going there to disconnect the administration block.
Again, I'm asking, why are you doing this? I thought government came to some agreement with you that you shouldn't disconnect these.
Yes, you see, we need money to operate. We need to provide safe, we need to provide quality, we need to provide reliability when it comes to power supply. If our monies are locked up with customers, how do we do that? That's how come we've considered all that from government, and then we are not disconnecting the university in its entirety. We are disconnecting the administration block of the university. We are not touching lecture theatres. We are not touching halls of residence. We are not touching laboratories and all that. It is just the main administration block of the university. We are tomorrow going to knock off.
All right, thank you very much. Isaac Enyusing is with the Electricity Company of Ghana in the Central Region. Thank you very much for joining us. We are also joined here by Joseph Opoku Gakpo, because one of the issues that's coming up is that there may probably not be enough electricity actually to go around for the ECG to want to disconnect people, because the power budgets, we're told, coming from car powership may not come in September as had originally been indicated.
Exactly. You would recall that the Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, spoke to the media earlier in the year and gave that promise that one of the ways they would want to deal with the energy crisis is to bring in this ship from Turkey, and that it was going to be in by September, and that it would give the nation 450 megawatts of power. We are in the first week of September, and now we're hearing a different story. Actually, the ministry, the director in charge of generation and transmission, has been speaking to the media about what exactly the situation with the arrival of the barges is. And I want to quote him here. He makes the point that the barge is moving soon, as in it's moving soon from Turkey. It hasn't left the port yet, but it's moving soon. There are a few things they are doing on the barge. It will set sailing soon. It will be in by the end of the month or a week into next month. It's now set to sail, and it will take about a month to get here. And so it hasn't moved from the port yet. It will take about a month to get it here, although we are already in the first week of September. The additional point and the further explanation he gives is that when it eventually arrives, it will take at least 15 days to set it up and connect it into the systems of the Electricity Company of Ghana. And that means if even it should arrive today, it could take us about 6 weeks in order to get it generating power for the country, meaning that it's not likely that the September promise would be met after all.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, bringing us up to speed with the car power ship, which is supposed to come into the country and help minimize the current energy crisis we're having to deal with. We're taking a break now, but we're not completely done with power issues because there's the issue of the National Theatre, which has been without electricity for about a month because it also couldn't pay its bills. We'll be back in a bit. Stay tuned.